Honorable Men Discord. Meek Mill is free at last. Let's talk about it.
How you see yourself is how you perceived. I see a man strong, gifted, head strapping, never down on his knees, begging. Gotta make a way, even in my darkest hour. Say the odds against me was new. I would never cower.
Alright, as always, welcome to another episode. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. I appreciate the shout outs. And I appreciate those that jump in the comments to leave a comment. Now, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and let's get straight to it. So I came across the fact that Meek Mill is claiming to be independent. Obviously, what that means, for those of you that followed Meek Mill's career, that would mean he's not associated with MMG, right? That's what I'm assuming. I also saw something that said that he's no longer working with Roc Nation. And I believe Roc Nation, their dealings with Meek Mill was the fact that they were management for Meek Mill. But he's claiming, from what I saw, to wanting to put out projects in a more throwback fashion, for a lack of way to express it. He doesn't want to promote his next project on any known streaming services. He wants to do things the underground route. He's referring to like Dat Piff and other mixtape platforms and so on and so forth. Now, I don't know how well that's going to work out. I mean, at the end of the day, I think if he makes good music, it's going to work. Because if he drops at least a visual for it, people are going to say, how do I get my hands on that song? How do I download it? And they're going to search and they're going to find it on these other platforms. So at the end of the day, it just really comes down to if the music's good. If the music's not good, it's just not going to work, regardless if it's on a major or if it's on a independent platform or, you know, a streaming service that's independent, like a mixtape website or app, or however they place it now. I haven't been on a mixtape platform in quite some time. I used to deal with Dat Piff, but the other ones I'm not that familiar with. But, you know, I wish him the best. But the thing about it now is, as I'm doing my research, I don't see any response from Rick Ross, which is a little odd. Maybe at the time of this recording it was too early and he didn't respond when I decided to, you know, shoot this episode. I didn't see any funny posts from 50 Cent, because I look at other pages to see just how true it is, but obviously it's true because this is Meek Mill, in fact, in the video beside me. So let's get into this video and then we'll talk about it further.
That's how we coming. When we get some music, nigga, I really listen to you, for real. Project. I'm independent, so I had to learn this shit my own. You know, I was getting 13% for like 13 years. Now I'm getting 100% of this shit. I might give out 10% to conglomerate partners, people that could do it. Macklin, we work together. We worked good together. But now I got all ownership, so I had to take it over. And now we got it. I'm about to do something else. Something they never seen before. You know, I talk about it when we do it. Yeah. You legendary. W for the fucking chat. Philly in the building. No bad. He really a legend. Swag in this bitch too. Let me tell you this too. Can I tell the? That's how we come.
All right, so you heard it straight from Meek Mill directly. You know, he said he was making 13% for 13 years, and what he's talking about, without speaking on it directly, and I could only assume he's not speaking on it directly because he doesn't want a lawsuit from Rick Ross. But it's almost one of those things. Is, for me personally, I look at it as one and the same, because he's been with Rick Ross for so many years. Just because he's not saying MMG, I guess he's avoiding a defamation lawsuit from Rick Ross, I guess, or maybe because he was on the contract not to do things like this. I don't know what it is, but he's not directly saying he's no longer with MMG, when everyone knows he's been with MMG from the height of his career. You know, since his single with Rick Ross, I'm a Boss, you know, which was a great song. It was a great record. That record initially came out on a mixtape, and then he ended up putting it on an official project. I believe that single came out on a compilation album. It wasn't even a Meek Mill album. And if it did, if I'm wrong about that, it may have came out on a compilation MMG album as well as Meek Mill's album. But the point is that it was a huge record and it catapulted Meek Mill to where he is now. And those numbers sound horrific, but MMG did play a part. You know, Rick Ross's presence on some of his records helped position Meek Mill where he is. So let me say that much. You don't have to like how it played out as an outsider, but do know MMG did help Meek Mill's career. Now, one might say, well, Meek Mill would have made it on another label. We can't say that. We can only assume. We don't know that for sure. And if that's the case, what label would he have gone to that would have worked for his style of music? You know, that's just a question. If anyone has an answer, a hypothetical answer that they think might have worked for Meek Mill outside of Rick Ross, let me know. Who at that time when he signed would have been a good fit for Meek Mill? Let's talk about it. All right. But those numbers sound horrific. And let me go into this clip now. This clip was the signing that he did with Rick Ross just before his career officially launched. So let's get into that and we'll talk about it.
I want to be a part of the rap game so bad, man. He looked like he would kill his mama to get a hit record. Rick Ross signed this guy on YouTube. And when Rick Ross signed that dude, man, as wicked as Rick Ross is, now you know Rick Ross is wicked as hell. He did not want to sign that brother. When that dude signed that contract with Rick Ross and Shoemaker hit it right on the point, he looked at that contract, man. He just shook his head, but you can see it in his eyes. He just had a look where all bets are off, like, God damn, another brother gone. You see what I'm saying? But them demons got to be fed, man. He has to do it. He has to feed the demons, meaning he got to keep signing. He got to find people who's wonderful and dumb enough to want to sell their soul. Once you get into the sodomite world of Hollywood, you have to keep initiating.
You know, it's Meek Mill came from a rough place in Philadelphia. You know, he was in the streets, and there's many guys like Meek Mill out there that, you know, if given an opportunity to sign to a label, they're gonna jump at it because they just looking at it on the surface level. They're looking at it like, man, the videos, the music videos, the girls in the videos, the cars, the nice cars, you know, but they don't read the fine print, which is why oftentimes it's said that, you know, if you're offered a contract, it's best that you wait, or at least ask if you could hold on to the contract so you could review it with your lawyer. And if they don't let you hold on to it, then you say, let's can we reschedule so I can have my lawyer present to look over the contract. But many times, you know, these things are done in fashions where it's like they finagle you so that you could be alone without a lawyer, without an attorney, and you sign the contract. I'm not saying that's what Rick Ross did. I'm not here to accuse Rick Ross. I'm just saying as a whole, this is what's been said. And, you know, ironically, I'm going to share a quick story about myself. There was a point in time where I myself was considering pursuing a career in music. Now that's not the case, although I still enjoy music, and I haven't created in a little while, but I remember there was a point in time where a friend of mine was working as a locksmith, and he was putting in some locks up at Bad Boy, and he had an opportunity to pass over a CD that I had at that time to Bad Boy. He left it with someone in that office. I don't remember the person's name, but even if I did remember, I'm not going to put the names out there and stuff like that, just because it's not necessary. But he passed my CD to Bad Boy, and it's just funny how life is. You know, in hindsight, with all that's going on now, you know, I'm just glad it just never happened, to be honest with you. With the stories that I've heard as I've gotten older about the dealings in the industry, listen, I'm not hard-pressed to make money to the point where I'm going to lose my soul and lose my sanity. And that's something that, you know, needs to be said and noted for those of you who are, let's just say, desperate at times to make it big, you know. Sometimes the the slow progression is the best progression. It's not always about getting there fast. It's not about, oh, I have an opportunity to sign, I'm just gonna sign, because I'm pretty sure if Meek Mill watches this video of himself as a young man, he probably regrets signing. But again, no shot at Rick Ross and MMG. I do believe MMG was a good look for him as far as exposure, not as far as what he's mentioning about 13%. That's what he was making for 13 years. That's horrible. But this last clip I have queued up is Gilly the Kid. This is from 2 years ago, but it's relevant because this was when Gilly the Kid and, just Gilly at this time. It's no longer Gilly the Kid. Gilly was, he had a back and forth with Rick Ross. They were both going back and forth for some time. But Gilly, in this particular clip, mentioned something that was, that is still true today. He called Meek Mill's contract Harriet Tubman's like slave deal. So it's crazy how he said that 2 years ago, and look at where we are now, where Meek Mill's saying he's independent now. So I'm pretty sure Rick Ross is gonna reply, maybe without words. He might just post something as a subliminal shot to Meek Mill. Who knows? It's crazy how these things work out, because they just at one point it was speculated that they weren't talking with each other. They were like in a dispute, and then eventually they made amends and they put together that little album together, which didn't do so well. But I don't think it's because anything that they did wrong. I just think like the music is just, it's changing, so they could have done that joint album maybe at a different point in time. But at the time when they released it, even though the Kobe and Shaq record was fairly decent, the I guess the anticipation for the project wasn't at the right time, so no one was really looking for it. At least that's what I observed, and that's my, I guess, my view on it. Because it just, even though they went on a little promo run, it just didn't seem like anyone was interested in hearing a full project from them. But anyway, let's get to this clip. This is Gilly the Kid speaking again on Rick Ross and the Harriet Tubman slave deal that he says in this interview about what Rick Ross signed Meek Mill to. So let's get into it.
I'm only gonna tell you this one time, Ross. You better stop fucking playing with me, man. You hear me? And mind your fucking business, man. Because you went on a nigga Instagram page commenting about me, calling me out my name, my nigga, for no motherfucking reason at all. This is how this shit started. So I'm gonna tell you again, man, leave me the fuck alone, man. I see your little funky ass video. I spend more money on my cow's hooves than you spend on your wife. You probably right, nigga. Cause I ain't bought her a quarter, nigga. She fuck with me because who I'm blessed to be, not because I bless her with a fee. But ain't you the nigga that said, I put Molly all in her drink and she ain't even know it. Goddamn Ricky Raper, bitch. Huh? Stop talking about money, man. Cause money don't unlame a lame, nigga. There's a lot of sucker-ass niggas out here with money and you on the list. Matter of fact, you the captain of the Suckers with Money Association of America, nigga, and we ain't impressed. So mind your business. Because that's your problem. You're always minding niggas' business. You was minding Birdman business some years back when you was running around talking about, give Khaled the money you owe him. Well, you give Meek the money you owe him, nigga. Because you got him in a 1914 slave deal. A Harriet Tubman joint that he signed when he was 19 and now he's 35. I thought you said a boss is one that guarantee we gon' eat. Well, why you ain't renegotiating with a real nigga? Thank God he fucking with them white boys. He fuck around, be broke, busted, and disgusted fucking with you. He's a hell of a businessman, though. Salute to you, Meek. But stop talking about money, man. And stop pushing that Bel Air on niggas, because they don't drink that shit no more. I got the ice electric blue bottle, and I got the lime green bottle that float in the air like Aladdin's carpet. We don't give a fuck. We don't want it, man. Niggas don't drink that shit, man. And slow up on them goddamn lemon peppers, because you're about a 6-piece away from a heart attack, nigga. Leave me the fuck alone. I'm telling you, this ain't what you want like Lil Durk first single, nigga. You better leave me alone. And one thing about me, I'm not no hater. I salute you. Your crib is immaculate, nigga. I'm talking about your crib is one of one, nigga. Unbelievable. But the whole Atlanta know you live dead smack in the hood, nigga. Right off Old National. 2 blocks away from the blackest Walmart in the state. You ain't had a good night's sleep since you moved in that motherfucker. You know how them niggas in Atlanta breaking houses. You worrying about them niggas jumping your wall every night, nigga. And I get that raggedy ass cow to Labor Day before them niggas hop the wall and steal that motherfucker. Be riding all that old national beef ribs for the hood. Fuck is wrong with you, man? Leave me the fuck alone, man. I'm not the nigga that you want to play with, Ross. You hear me? You CEO / drug dealer kingpin. Remember, we was on the same record label together, Teflon. Remember that? When you used to go to work, you tell niggas, lock it in. Then you come home, you change your uniform, you put your hat on backwards, and then you go in the studio and be a drug dealer kingpin rapper? Oh. Leave me the fuck alone, man. This ain't what you want.
Yeah, so that was 2 years ago. What's your thoughts on this whole thing? Listen, if Meek Mill was in fact only getting 13% for 13 years, then, you know, I wish him the best. The question now is, you know, the music that he last left us with, is that a testament to what we can expect in the future from him as an independent artist? Because if it is, I don't think it's strong enough. You know, or maybe he just didn't put the effort in there because he was just tired of his contract. It's funny that this stuff came out because this whole time I'm just thinking, you know, he was loyal to the brand, because obviously there were several artists that came and went. Wale had a short stint with MMG. Omarion, Staley, or Staley, I think that's what they said. He's from Ohio. They also had someone else in the beginning. Who else came and went from MMG? Now he has the Florida artist from what's this guy's name? If you know his name, put it in the comments for me. Let me see if I can find this guy's name. Rick Ross artist. And he recently dropped a project, and I don't know how well that's doing. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. It's business at the end of the day. I don't think it's right, but unfortunately, this is why you have to really read your contracts. You know, you gotta really pay attention to who's putting your music out, who you sign it to, not who's putting your music out. Excuse me. I can't find this guy's. I thought I had downloaded his single. Okay, here we go. Nino Breeze. Man, it took me a long time to find that. I actually have his single here on my in my phone. So yeah, Nino Breeze recently signed to him, and I knew something was going on. I mean, listen, when you sign to a label, you don't have to be in your label mates' videos, but since that last project that Meek Mill and Rick Ross dropped with the Kobe and Shaq, he's been just laying low. You know, he's just been laying low. You don't see him pop up at the car shows. And then Nino Breeze came out. You know, Rick Ross mentioned he was signing him. But it's pretty standard. Every time Rick Ross had signed someone, he kind of like, you know, had them like going around with him whenever he's doing something, just to give them the exposure. But, you know, I could only imagine, you know, I wonder if Nino Breeze's contract is similar to Meek Mill's or if it's better, you know. You know, who knows? I don't think that's ever going to be disclosed. But again, you gotta read the contracts. You got, like the old saying goes, you gotta read the fine print. You gotta get a lawyer with you to read that fine print, you know. But what's your thoughts on all of this? Do you think this is a good look for Meek Mill? Do you think his career and his talent is strong enough to survive as an independent? You know, no longer attached to Rock Nation from what I saw. No longer attached to MMG, you know. So we could only wait and see. And then who knows, maybe no, I was about to say maybe Rick Ross gave him his blessings, but I can only assume he didn't, because why would you mention that, you were locked into 13% over 13 years? That's not something that's gonna make Rick Ross look like a solid guy, a solid businessman. But that's my thoughts on this. I wish both parties the best. I don't have no stake in this, and Meek Mill made a good career. He's performed on big stages, so I don't know what to make of this. If this is what he wanted, now he has the opportunity to be a boss, and we can see whether or not he's able to be a boss. It's one thing to see other bosses and want to emulate what other bosses do, but can you really carry the weight that they carry? And that's left to be seen. So I'll be watching this closely as I watch other things closely. But that's all I have on this episode. Again, if you haven't hit the subscribe button, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next episode. Take care.